the Paris talks obviously coming up later this year. I mean, again, one of the criticisms that have is that, you know, as significant as this may seem in the United States, and with the resistance you're getting, it obviously is very significant, that in the global context, it's pretty well meaningless. The actual impact on carbon emissions that even these apparently quite significant changes here in the US would involve, when you look at China, when you look at India, that these are actually small symbolic gestures, and they really aren't going to make a big difference to how our climate changes.
Well, I couldn't disagree with you more. Jerry, the reason why that the president was able to sit down and reach basically do the joint announcement with China was because of the seriousness of domestic action. We wouldn't be standing here talking about this if it was symbolic only. These are real reductions, and this is a significant commitment. Is it going to get the international community all the way where it needs to go tomorrow? No. But people know that the US now is doing exactly what the president intended with his climate action plan. We are focused on real action to mitigate greenhouse gases. We are focused on real action to deal with communities who are feeling the impacts of climate today, to make sure that we protect those communities with efforts on resilience and adaptation. But the third reason to do it was to show the international community that the United States of America, and now China, the two largest greenhouse gas pollutants in the world, are going to work together to take action. And what China did was really an unprecedented commitment.
They agreed to cap emissions by 2030, by almost all economic forecasts. You look at what's happening to Chinese growth, you look at what's happening to the energy composition of Chinese growth. They were going to do that anyway. Does that represent any kind of a commitment on that?
You know what? Oftentimes I've said that about the states. I've said, you know, what we're asking you to do in the Clean Power Plan is what you'd be doing anyways if you were smart economically. So you made my case.
Well,
I don't need to fight people if we all agree that climate is a huge economic issue and we have to factor it into our decisions.
No, I'm sorry, Minister. You can't claim on the one hand that the Chinese are making a big, bold move and a dramatic concession and a commitment to reducing their carbon emissions in a big way, and then acknowledge that, well, it was going to happen anyway because their growth is slowing. I mean,
no,
I'm sorry,
what you're telling me is that they've finally understood that the environment and climate change have to be part and parcel of how you grow a country and its economy. That's what they've understood. When I've been in China, we have companies now moving away from other countries and coming back to the US because their water's not clean enough to manufacture with. And they don't want to live there because the air pollution is so bad. In the United States, what we learned many years ago, and I'm hoping people still remember, is the environment isn't window dressing, it's the foundation of how we've grown this economy. And I just want to make sure we think the same way with our carbon pollution challenge. I've been working in China for a long time. One of the reasons why I think China could make the transition that they're making to actually increase their renewables so dramatically and to cap their emissions is because of all the challenge they're having on air pollution. They have to address it anyways. Why do you want to address it with pollution controls? Why wouldn't you want to address it with investments in renewables, investment in energy efficiency, looking at low carbon solutions right out of the gate? That was the choice that China made with the joint announcement. They made that choice to skip steps that we have made and go to the heart of how you're going to grow a sustainable economy. And that's by looking at low carbon out of the gate.